Welcome, everyone. I'm going to be covering the Indiana Fever against the Las Vegas Aces, and they were playing in a sellout crowd there in Vegas of 18,500. That's always good for the game. Um, the Aces ended up defeating the Fever, who had a lead for most of the game. The Fever were feeding Boston heavy, and it was coming through in the first three quarters. So the Aces ended up defeating him 89 to 81. Quarterly play was first quarter Indiana was up 21 to 20, and then they outscored them 21 to 16. And then Vegas started to come in back a little bit in the third. They outscored them 22 to 19, and then they really outscored them in the fourth. And I think the biggest difference is if you look, all you have to do is look at Asia Wilson's shooting percentage. She was like 3 for 16 or something, some crazy amount. She was missing a lot of shots. I mean, I think Vegas would have beat them by 10 or 15. Well, they beat them by 8. So yeah, probably over 15 if Asia was just shooting normally. She was really bad in the first half. Like everything she threw up, none of them was going in. Um, Indiana, Boston played. Caitlin Clark got 10 assists, and almost every single one of those was to Boston, just feeding her down low, um, and for easy hoops. 26 points she had, and she was 12 for 19. Most of that was in the first three quarters, and then they tried it a little bit on the fourth, and I think Vegas's defense just kind of tightened up a little bit more on that and started to take that away, or made it much harder for Boston to get those easy hoops. And then once Vegas got a lead finally at 7 minute and 30 around 7:30 minute mark in the fourth, and then Kelsey Mitchell stepped in and she took over and scored like 6 or 8 points, and then got them tied again. But then Vegas just, Asia Wilson started hitting her shots, and Vegas took the lead back. And then right near the end of the game, Caitlin Clark had a really nice steal and on Jackie Young and in for a layup. Clark had 19 points. She's still shooting bad she was 1 for 10 from three. But, when she's missing, at least she's using that to, instead of forcing more, she drives to the hoop and then she feeds her other teammates. But I think the problem for Indiana right now is they just don't. They have Boston, they have Mitchell and Clark, and then they're not getting enough contributions from other players. Lexi Hull had 7, Howard had 7, and then Brianna Turner had 2. And Sophie Cunningham didn't score. And they had some turnovers. They had 18 turnovers. Vegas had 13. But the big difference is Vegas scored on those turnovers. Vegas had 28 points off turnovers, and Indiana only had 16. Indiana did have a 10-point lead at one point, but the team rebounds was terrible. Like under 10. Under 10. That's bad. Wow. No, that's not true, because Boston had 10 herself. But there weren't many for Lexi Hull had 6. Well, I wonder what that is. I'm reading something where it says team rebounds, and that's clearly wrong. Anyway, so good job for the Aces. The Aces here's the difference. You had 5 players on the Aces in double figures. You had Wilson. She was 8 for 21. She shot 38%. And most of those 8 came in the late in the game, where she finally started hitting her shots. And then she went to the free throw line 10 times. She got 8 points there. Jackie Young had 19 points. Jewel Lloyd had 10. Chelsey Gray had 18. And she came through with them getting their lead. She was really key in them taking over late in the game. She had a couple threes. She was 2 for 5. But she was really key in that, and her and Asia Wilson basically just said, "Man, sorry, we're taking this game." And then Aaliyah Nye, she's been playing well. She was 3 for 5 from three. She had 11 points, so good for her. She's, she's been one of these rookies that, if you're watching Vegas, you see, she's doing pretty well. Like maybe she's, putting her hat in the ring for Rookie of the Year. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. It's still early, but it was a good game to watch. It was a exciting game. It was close right until the end. It was a 5-point game when Caitlin Clark's picked Jackie Young's pocket and got a layup. It was a 5-point game, but then they just couldn't get a three. I mean, they needed 2 threes at the end, and they couldn't get them. But otherwise, good game. I mean, lots of assists for Clark when she's not hitting her threes. She's making assists. She's got she takes chances with her passes, and she gets turnovers like that. That's kind of a fine line. It's like you don't want the turnovers, granted. But, you got to take chances once in a while. And she makes some great passes taking those chances. So, she'll get her 3-point shot back. And, Indiana will be fine. But I'm not so sure that they are as good of a team as people thought at the beginning. Not because of Clark or Mitchell or Boston. They're good. But they don't have enough supporting cast. And the WNBA has become, there are a lot of teams that are, they have multiple players. And I think this year it's going to come down to who has the best bench and more than just a couple of players contribute. You need more than just a star. You need all 5, and then you need a bench because the competition has gotten so good that, that's what it's going to take. And that's what makes Minnesota so good because they have way more. And they have a good bench. And, Minnesota's going to be tough to beat unless they get injuries. So, anyway, great game. We got more coming up tomorrow. Tomorrow it's Monday. So, Tuesday we got 4 more games. And, this was a good one. And, congratulations to the Aces. They are now, 6 and 7? 6 and 7. Yeah, Indiana and the Aces are 6 and 7 now. So, but they have talented players. They're both going to make a run as the season goes on. Of course, barring any injury. So we'll see. But good game. We'll see you next time.